Ernie, can you just talk about how the course played yesterday? They had a good bit of rain on Friday and Saturday, and what do you expect if it does remain soft? Is the scoring going to be easier, or how will it play differently than the way they'd like it?
Well, yesterday it was beautiful. I mean, it was just starting to dry out. The greens were getting a little bit firmer. The surfaces are just unbelievable. The fairways were still quite wet. I guess they can't get rollers on the fairways. But the fairways are also getting a little bit firmer, but they're still soft. But after the rain this morning, it's going to be very sloppy now. So you're not going to see a firm US Open this year. I'm sorry. I don't care if they get helicopters flying over these fairways. It's not going to dry up. So we're going to have a soft golf course this week, all week. Means that if you're on your game, you're going to have a lot of birdie putts. There's quite a few par fours where, you just got to put it in the fairway. You can put it in the fairway with an iron, from a 5-iron to a 3-iron. Just putting it in play, and then you've got quite a short second shot. So I could see pin placements are going to be quite tough to protect the course, and you're going to see a lot more birdies than ever at US Open venues, but the finish is still very strong. The par 3s are very, very strong, and there's some par 4s, 5 and 6, obviously 18, 14 is a very strong hole. So there's some really strong par 4s, but then you've got some birdie chances. And as I say, the par 3s are going to be tough.
Sorry, Ernie. Question here in the back over the right.
Ernie, have you been able to keep an eye on what's happening with Mr. Mandela, and what sort of relationship do you have with him?
Yeah, I mean, as South Africans, we're obviously very concerned about President Mandela. He's 94 years old now. He's almost on to his 95th birthday, and he's been quite ill for a while now. So we're just hoping for the best. But I haven't seen him for quite a few years now. I haven't seen him probably for 7-8 years now. But we've had always a great relationship. When I won a lot of tournaments in the 90s and early part of the 2000s, we spoke a lot on the telephone, and he just always felt proud of what the sporting athletes out of South Africa did for the country, winning worldwide events. So he always felt very proud of that. So through that instance, we had a really nice relationship. So we're all just hoping for the best, whichever outcome that might be. I just want him to be well.
And you heard Ernie else say, I don't care if they get helicopters over these fairways, they're not going to dry out. Actually, guys, I'm kind of cutting it short on time. So we're not going to hear from Adam Scott. We're going to take a minute-long break, come back, you'll hear my favorites. I don't have a pick to win. You'll hear my 3 favorites and my 3 sleepers, and then that'll be that. Hang on, guys. Last segment coming up, so stay tuned. This is the Nick Lott Show on Spreaker Web Radio. Final segment, Nick Lott Show, Spreaker Web Radio. Thank you for staying tuned, guys. Like I said, cutting it short on time. If I did the Adam Scott interview, that's like 6 minutes long. I'd only have 2 minutes left to go over my favorites. I wish I could make shows for an hour. Don't really want to do another show for just 15 minutes. So basically, let's get into my sleepers first. Reasons why I consider them a good shot. First one I have on the list, Zach Johnson. Hits the ball straight. You saw him win the Masters in 2007, laying up on all the par fives. Very good wedge player. You heard Graeme McDowell say wedge play is going to be key, and he can roll the rock pretty well. So just look for him. I mean, he's not a long hitter, but I mean, most of these people aren't going to be bombing drivers 320, 340 yards down the fairway this week. I mean, accuracy is key because the rough, you didn't hear it in Rory McIlroy's interview, but he said it yesterday in the lengthened one, that the rough's not graduated, so they don't have a first cut, second cut. It's just fairway, rough. No primary, no intermediate rough, so it's not graduated, so accuracy is key. Another guy I like, 20-year-old Jordan Spieth, sectionally qualified for this event, has made almost $1 million in his rookie year on tour. He has special exempt status, so he played a couple events on the Webb.com tour. Almost won in Puerto Rico the week that they played the match play in Arizona, and so that got him the temporary membership for the rest of the year, unlimited exemptions. I followed this guy in Houston on Sunday. He teed off at way early in the morning, so nobody was out there. It was Easter Sunday, and the guy shot 5 under on his front nine and made it look like nothing. I mean, this kid, he's just a remarkable talent, and I really like him this week, just because he plays a lot smarter than his age. I mean, don't get me wrong. He ended up shooting, I think, 3 under that day, so made a couple. He had a couple 3 putts on the back, but I mean, if Jordan Spieth can limit the mistakes, don't be surprised to see his name at the top or near the top of the leaderboard. And last sleeper, Boo Weekley, won at Colonial, first win in 5 years. And he's always been a phenomenal ball striker. One of the best ball striker I've ever seen in person. I mean, I watched him at the range in Houston, and I don't feel like he missed a shot. I mean, everything was just dead solid, perfect. And he's finally starting to putt now, and that's why you see him at the tops of leaderboards, making moves in tournaments, and that's why he won at Colonial. And I mean, he shot, I think, 6 or 7 under on Sunday at Colonial to win. So he's back on his game. Got himself a win this year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Boo Weekley make a run at this thing if he keeps the ball in play. As good a ball striker as he is, and as good as he's putting the ball right now. Let's move on to favorites. Favorite number 1, these are in no particular order, just the order that I wrote them down. Keegan Bradley. Like I said earlier, high ball hitters will have a big advantage at this course. They would have a big advantage. Well, the fact that the course is soft, it kind of levels out the playing field, but Keegan Bradley, he hits the highest between him and my other 2 favorites. Those have the 3 highest ball flights I've ever seen. I've seen them all hit balls in person, seen them all play around in person. It's just unreal how high and how pure they hit the ball. And you would think as high as they hit it, oh, well, if it's windy, the wind's going to affect it. They just have a way of just, the ball just goes through the wind. And it just kind of makes my head spin. Keegan, he's kind of had a little bit of an up and down year, but I mean, his wedge play has been very good this year, and like I said, high ball hitter. You don't have to be long to win this tournament, and I mean, Keegan, if he's probably only going to hit 5 or 6 drivers around, and that's all he needs, because I mean, he can probably hit his. He won't even need to hit 3-wood, because I guarantee you he can hit 3-iron out there, 250, 260 at least. And Yeah, I think this is just a great setup for him. High ball hitter, going to spin the ball a lot on the greens. It just this whole tournament and my other two favorites, it's just going to come down to how well they putt the ball. Next favorite, guy without a major, Lee Westwood. I like him a lot. Hits the ball pretty straight, and that's key this week. That's key any week. But with the rough not being graduated, finding the fairway is huge this week. Huge. And I think Lee could pull it off. And he's done well in majors. He just hasn't won one. He had the first round lead in the Masters last year. He shot 67 in the first round. So, I mean, and the tee times, whoever has a morning, I didn't look at these guys' tee times. I know Rory tees off in the afternoon. Keegan tees off Keegan's playing with Phil, so he has a morning tee time. The guys with the morning tee times, they're not going to be affected by the weather that's supposed to go through on Thursday. So I expect the guys that tee off in the morning to have the bulk of the better scores. But those last 5 holes, you heard three of the 5 interviews I played, they just said you got to hang on. Or 4 interviews, rather. You just got to hang on. Last favorite, 2 minutes left in the show. We're going to wrap it up real quick. Rory McIlroy, 2011 U.S. Open champion. You saw him run away with it with soft conditions at Congressional. Whether or not his game is in full shape, he expressed a lot of confidence yesterday in his interviews, so he's starting to putt the ball better. High ball hitter, spins the ball like crazy. You saw what he did at the U.S. Open at Congressional. That was just his week. If he has a good round tomorrow, gets some momentum going, I think there's no stopping Rory McIlroy. And you may ask yourself, Nick, why don't you think Tiger Woods will win? The way I see it, the U.S. Open, they have 156 players. That's 155 players. Granted, there are, I don't know how many amateurs, but those probably don't stand a chance of winning. I mean, Bo Hostler, the 16-year-old, made a run at it last year. But there's 155 other guys that can win this golf tournament. And the fact that Tiger hasn't won since 2008, well, he's won 4 times this year. But he's coming off of a terrible finish at Memorial, so whether or not that will motivate him for this week, or he's coming in this week without any confidence. He said he had a good week of practice at home, so that just remains to be seen. All right, guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Nick Lott Show. U.S. Open preview. Like I said, Keegan Bradley, Lee Westwood, Rory McIlroy, those are my 3 favorites for the week. Thank you for tuning in, whether it was live or you're tuning in later. Thank you for the listens. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. All audio and interview courtesy of usopen.com. Again, this has been the Nick Lott Show on Spreaker Web Radio. Thank you for tuning in.